I've been asked to say a word or two about the whole question of charter amendment. There is a history between 1963 and 1965. In fact, the effort was made and the council was expanded from its original 11 members to the current 15. The process, I think, is important to remember. The Security Council doesn't actually vote on this issue. The vote goes to the General Assembly, and if it passes there by the two-thirds, then it goes out to the member states where the ratification process takes place. And actually in 1963, when this was tried before, there was a dual resolution in December 63, part for expansion of ECOSOC, the Economic and Social Council, and part for the expansion of the Security Council. In fact, none of the 5 permanent members at that time voted for both parts of the resolution. But despite that opposition from the 5 permanent members, the resolution swept through the General Assembly. So then the question went to national capitals to see whether, in fact, there would be a ratification of this vote. Then it came really a question of what would the permanent 5 do. The Soviets, recognizing this was in the middle of the Cold War, seeing that they didn't have much to gain by continuing to oppose this, felt to leave it on the Western doorstep. They would go ahead and ratify, and they did. Then it was, of course, a question of China, in that case Taipei, the UK, and France. One after the other, they went along with it, in part because they didn't want to pay the political price of opposing it, and it was a typical case of what we call in political science free riding. They said, let Washington do it. We'll let Washington take the heat. And it was indeed left on Washington's doorstep. At that time, it was the administration of Lyndon Johnson, and where in 1963 they were very caustic and very negative about expanding the council as much as some of these members wanted, and certainly as large an expansion of ECOSOC, they too began to feel the political pressure, and they reevaluated their position. And lo and behold, that same Johnson administration that had been so negative about this in 1963, by the summer of 1965, went before the Senate and said, indeed, this would be good for the UN. It's time to see this change underway. There's no guarantee that this process would work again, but it is instructive, I think,